Mark McElligott, CEO of Viridian Developments. So just continuing on from our modeling of the 50 units, regenerative development of these, we went through some light design for feasibility and understand that the project is nested within the wider town, and that town is nested within a water catchment area. So within the blended finance model stack we've been working on, there's a few different structures and entities that we're going to be dealing with. But I wanted to give this as an example of the strength of living systems frameworks through our lineage of Regenerative Institute and all the work across Regenerative. The real power of how this can bring consciousness to regenerative finance, and this is how I see regenerative finance being played out in the real world, blends across sectors. It's not so siloed because I come more from the ground up with development. But so here is me just playing. As a premise, this is the pre-engagement, this is the pre-design, designing the design process before I even go and talk to the people. I haven't even talked to some villages about this, so you'll see its evolution. So some villages investing in co-op, unsophisticated investors, 10 to 20,000, so it's the smallest end of the scale. Unlimited community size, it's for a mandate of ethical investment in affordable housing, can be through equity finance, debt finance, and blended finance. So just really a real simple little framework, outcome process. These triads are very strong, even though they seem simple, for helping with quality of thought. So really, you would just think that this little financial entities, either people don't have much money, so they put in 10 or 20 grand, it's all they've got, or people have plenty of money and this is just like a little side quest for them, a little side hustle. But both of them are passive set and forget type, monitor but set and forget. But everything we do, it's about changing the paradigm of how we see the world and being more conscious about everything we do. It's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. Quote from Joel Kleinsberg. So rather than just a set and forget bucket of money for this, I sort of set the purpose. Well, what of the premise of this this co-op was to structure the Sun Village Co-op as a regenerative finance model, to help the investors find conscious purpose in their investment. So that is the premise we're working from. The framework would be, all right, so apart from putting the money in, like, including what are they doing? So the outcomes they're going to want is financial returns. But below that, it could be community, connection, relationships, contribution, finding themselves, an opportunity for financial education, learning regen, and even entertainment. And so stepping through the process to against these outcomes with the premise of we're using this as an opportunity for investors to find more conscious purpose in their lives through this investment, not just through the investment. So what would we need? What would be the process of financial returns? Well, we'd need an investment model. So that's good. But what is a more conscious way? What conscious capability would the investors need to find purpose out of even just the investment model and the financial returns? So maybe it could be a mandate of or a reflection on where they are sourcing their desire for financial returns, like sourcing their relationship with money, why they want this, and reflections on that as a developmental process. If they get community out of it, the process would be maybe we create networking infrastructure, and the networking infrastructure could be digital, or it could be hard infrastructure. So it could be a room within this development where people get together in community once a week, once a month, and have powwow sessions about how that's going on. So it's like, what's the conscious capability that people would need to show up in that to help them on this journey? So it would be maybe a more developmental structure of how these networking sessions come together. So in this I'm holding how Regen Places Network holds their meetings and create a developmental journey for communities in this practice. With connection, the process might be we create an onboarding section, onboarding program for people to connect with each other, not just put all people in a bucket together and say, get on with it. So there could be that as part of the program under this cooperative. And what would be a more conscious developmental version of this, or what could people hold for that, would be maybe co-designing it with the investors. So the investors are co-designing their own onboarding program. There's a reflection of how they themselves maybe struggle, or maybe their unique way of feeling comfortable and safe connecting with people. And this comes across, and this bridges this gap towards Western and Indigenous cultures as well. So once it's multicultural, really multicultural, not just loads of different colored people in a room, harmonizing those cultures and learning from them, learning from how these cultures connect and commune. The relationships, a developmental program within that. Maybe that's, outside of Regen, maybe there's some really cool developmental program that's based on conscious reflection for the people. A form of contribution, which is a lot of people why are they putting it in this instead of something else? They're probably looking for a form of significance and contribution. And this could be another investor co-design session of what lights them up, and creating that as a developmental process as well. And maybe the capability that they would need is a willingness to think about Regen and think about this conscious work in itself. An outcome could be finding themselves, and the process could be implementing a journaling program. Now this is what Tyler wanted to bring in from the beginning. It's what I started anyway. It's a beautiful way to organize your thoughts with a journaling program. It can be co-journaling, so after every meeting, people journal, because we think we all saw the same meeting, but we all had totally different experiences. We all saw the elephant from different angles. And so when we journal separately and then collectively in a storyboard, we build a field of understanding across the experiences that we have in life. And life is just a series of experiences, so why would we not want to enrich them and develop a deeper sense of how that is designed within ourselves? And that would involve that, we would need a capability of self-reflection in that. So for not financial education, you would think, cut and dry finance program, but how could that finance program be more regenerative, be more conscious, and more purposeful? And that could be, again, reflecting on people's relationship with money, and maybe a deep dive into what money is, and the analogy, like I talked about in previous videos, about money and water being similar, but they're inverse. So money has water has innate intelligence, and it knows to take the low ground. It knows to nourish deep, and money doesn't. It's a bit airy and a bit fairy, and it goes high. Regen education, that's just what we do. And here's a cool one. So like yes, developmental, yes, purpose, yes, consciousness, but yes, fun. Like yes, why would we not want to gamify this? Want to have entertainment within this? And so maybe there's an investment platform that comes. All the dopamine triggering bullshit that every other program and social media thing has. Well, how would we do that in a more conscious way? The conscious capability. Well, that could be a really conscious co-designed session where everyone within the cooperative come together and reflect on that and grow from that. And so see how this is just me before I bring this in, and you can see how what was just a bucket of money has now become a whole ecosystem, a whole little universe where people can put money in and really buy the ticket and take the ride, because the experience is like this 10, 20 grand. It might change someone's world if they don't have much money. They might change their lives quality a little bit somewhere, but it's not going to change your world. But this co-op and this program that could be co-designed with the people, this can change their worlds. This can change the way that they see themselves, find purpose in life, find ways to the way they can actually financially support themselves within this wider ecosystem, and that will change their worlds. They'll never have to work a day in their life if they find purpose within all this structure. And on it like this, why wouldn't you do this? This is fun. This is the way to do it. And on a side of, yeah, Michael seems a lot of work that, I don't think people that do this. People are doing this now. Like, this is roughly what Regen Places Network is sort of coming along with, and that's not on the back of a purpose, like a unifying little venture, like a small investment. So this is already happening. I see. I've helped design parts of Regen Places networks like this. So it's real, and like maybe you can see, even if like all this regen woo-woo hippie shit isn't for you, like just think of it from a business perspective. Is this not a smart way to do things? And so it's like, okay, so that's okay from the structure, but we never look at just the thing. The project isn't the project. The project is has spheres and propagating influence across systems that it is nested in. So if you want to think of how this next go, this was my design of the design process. Then we go to some villages and we go to the individual investors. And because this is part of a regenerative development project on the ground that we're doing, this nested system goes all the way down to the individual. So it steps in here. So the individual that is part of this, co-designing cooperative, the spirit and their essence is nested within the co-op. The co-op is then nested in the project. The project is then nested in Queanbeyan and so on. And this, insert your place in your region here. And this isn't a bolt-on. So what you might see in a lot of different things is people go, oh, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and there's this. There's bigger scale. This isn't about Chinese dolls. Like what are they Russian dolls? Where they're up, because they just sit within each other and that is nested. This is a living, breathing, reciprocal relationship between. So the individuals are in relationship with the co-op and each other. The co-op is in relationship with the project, and the project influences back into the co-op, and the co-op influences back to the people. The project goes into the wider town, Queanbeyan, but the town comes back into the project, and so it's this living, breathing field of expanding influence that we're looking at. So, and this is just one. We haven't even talked about. This is just the first rung on the board, the little one. 40%, like only a 40th of the whole value. Next one, maybe the unsophisticated, the syndicate, so property syndicate up to $2 million, so twice the value, but people are putting in 5 times as much, say, but just fewer people. Could do the same there, and because it's a different community, a different living whole that we're holding, like this is the living whole of the co-op. Next one will be living whole of the syndicate, and up and up in the fund would be the same. And notice how things are getting into the universe orders through complexity. So you have these expanding orders of complexity as they go up there in influence with each other. And across this boundary from finance to investment equity, into development, I don't know. Where do you draw the line now? Where do you draw the line between me and the end product? What's what? And I think this is where it's at. This is the conversation. And my guess would be, just like if we only did this really cool as a little skunkworks project on the side and we just did a normal project, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the sophisticated investors coming in as like 10 people putting in $1 million each. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them put 990 grand in each, and then put 10 grand into the cooperative, just to be part of that community. Yes, make money, but people want something more. And I think this is the conversation we should be having about what regenerative finance is, and we haven't even gone into how this repatterns society in the living world. This is just one little inkling.